I bought a house for my son and daughter-in-law, but they excluded me from their housewarming party because of my facial scar. After confronting them and realizing the depth of their disrespect, I gave them 30 days to vacate the house. Despite their pleas and threats, I stood firm and took back control of my life. I am a 63-year-old woman who has been dealing with all sorts of curveballs life has thrown at me, but now it seems like too much to handle. My daughter-in-law, let's call her Susan, is hosting a party at the new house, and I'm not even invited. I found out from my niece, who follows Susan on Facebook. My niece called to tell me she was upset about not being invited. I was puzzled, asking, what invitation and what party? She was shocked that I knew nothing about the grand party Susan was throwing at the new house. I asked her if she was sure it was a housewarming party, perhaps it could be something else. Then she sent me a screenshot of a story Susan had posted with decorations, stating, "Happy home. 1 week to go for the celebration. Can't wait to give a house tour." All these stories pretty much summed it up. The naive me thought perhaps they forgot to invite me. Not that the inner me didn't know the truth, but sometimes hope makes you do foolish things. I waited eagerly for my invitation, but it never came. I tried to stay patient, thinking maybe it got lost in the mail or that they were planning to invite me in person. The party is tomorrow, and how could it not occur to them that I wasn't on the guest list? This morning, I called my son, let's call him Mark, to ask about it. He seemed uncomfortable, stammering that it must have been a mix-up and that he thought Susan had invited me. I said I hadn't received any invitation. He said Susan has been very busy commuting for work, driving the kids to school and other classes, and supervising the renovation of the house. He told me not to worry and that he would check with Susan and get back to me. It was clear he was lying or at least covering for her because, hello, it takes 10 seconds to forward an invitation. I waited all afternoon, but no calls or texts. It's certain that I'm not invited. It may sound very trivial to some of you, and I don't want to argue that I have the right to be upset about it. My life's journey has been filled with challenges, but I've always managed to persevere. However, there are certain moments that break me into pieces, and this is one of them. Probably a little background would help. My husband, my rock, was my biggest supporter and partner in everything. When he passed away, he left me with a substantial inheritance, the house, a significant insurance payout, and some other savings here and there. He ensured I'd be okay after he was gone. Surprisingly, he left nothing for Mark. He mentioned in his will that he deliberately left everything to me, and it would be up to me to decide what to do with it. Mark was very upset about this, but I ensured I had his back. He's my only son. Since then, I've always supported him in every way I can. Mark has always been a good kid, though he's had his share of struggles. He's the type of person who is kind-hearted but not always practical, which has sometimes led him into difficult financial situations. There were many times when my husband bailed him out, and maybe that's why he didn't give him everything outrightly. When he married Susan, I was happy for him. He seemed genuinely in love, and I wanted nothing more than to see him happy. But soon after marrying her, he became distant from us. I didn't mind much and respected his boundaries. From the very beginning, there was something off about Susan. It wasn't that she was openly rude or hostile, it was more subtle than that. There was a coldness in her that I couldn't quite put my finger on. She was polite, but it felt like there was a wall between us that I could never break through. At first, I thought it was just natural awkwardness that sometimes happens when families blend, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I tried to be friendly and involve her in family activities, but she always kept her distance. Then came the accident a few years ago. I was driving home from somewhere when a drunk driver swerved into my lane. The impact was severe, and I was left with a large scar on the left side of my face. It wasn't just any scar, it was jagged and noticeable, something that surgery couldn't fully fix. I remember looking at myself in the mirror for the first time after the bandages came off, and I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. It was a difficult adjustment, but over time, I learned to accept it. I knew that my worth wasn't defined by my appearance, even if the world sometimes tried to convince me otherwise. However, it quickly became apparent that Susan couldn't accept it. After the accident, her already chilly demeanor grew even colder. She would make excuses not to visit, claiming she was busy with work and that the kids had activities. I knew something was wrong but couldn't figure out exactly what it was. Maybe I was too optimistic, hoping that whatever was bothering her would eventually fade away. Sadly, that never happened. However, that never deterred me from standing up for Mark whenever he needed me. I expected the same cordial, if not loving, relationship from them. I guess it doesn't work that way with parents. Children always want you to have their back, but you can't expect anything from them without being called nosy and needy. Sometimes I miss my husband a lot. When he was here, I didn't need anyone, we were enough for each other. I hope I get over this bitter feeling soon. Thanks if you have read this. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 2.